Hi guys, my name is Colin Dobson. For those who don't know me, I am 19 years old. I am an avid birdwatcher and photographer from Central Illinois. I'm currently a freshman at University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. And this year I will be doing a U.S. Big Year, trying to be the youngest ever to see at least 700 species of birds in a year in the ABA area of the United States and Canada. I've been kind of on the down low about this for a while, and I was kind of waiting to see how my Christmas break went because it started late in December 20th, and then it went all the way to today. I start classes tomorrow. I start classes January 21st, and I was like, why not? I have 3 weeks in this beginning of the year. Why not just travel a bunch and just see where I am and go from there? So, and it was really good, obviously, because now this is coming to light, and I bet many people figured it out by now, but I was kind of keeping it on the down low just in case. Plus, if I were to come out about it in December, maybe another person would try and come up with a plan. I'm like, well, I'm going to keep on the down low for a while, so that was kind of a good strategy. But anyway, like I said, many people, I've told some, but I mean, many people have probably figured it out by now. And so I did Minnesota, Illinois, Florida, California, and Arizona birding all in the last 3 weeks, and I have exactly 350 species now. So I'm halfway to my my major goal. I mean, I'll go probably beyond that, but we'll see what happens. You never know what will happen, but I had a really good break, so I'm in a really good spot right now. But obviously from now, it's the spring semester, so I won't have much time to myself at all. So I probably won't be adding more than probably 15 birds for the next 2 months. But you never know. But I still have a cold I'm almost over. So if I cough or I sound weird, that's why. But I've had it for almost a month now. But it's okay. It's almost over. I keep saying that, though. But it's not over. But anyway, so I started out the year, Tony Ward, a good birding friend of mine a really good friend of my grandma's, and I went to Minnesota to start the year off. Great time in Minnesota. Only missed red crossbill, which I got in California, and spruce grouse were the only ones I missed. I mean, we did miss Bohemian waxwing and common redpoll, but the finches and the waxwings are not around this year, so I'm not worried about that. But anyway, we had hawk, great, and northern hawk owl, which northern hawk owl was a lifer for me. Sharp-tailed ruffed grouse, black-billed magpie, white-winged crossbill, American three-toed, a pair, a bunch of boiled chickadees and black-backed woodpecker, a northern goshawk. We had a great time. We also had glaucus and Iceland gold down in Duluth. I think we had 38 or 39 species on the trip, which was actually really good for the Duluth area in the winter, in a day and a half. So that was good. So I did a kind of a mini big day. It turned out in Central Illinois the next day before we flew out. So get this. I drove most of the way back from Duluth because Tony drove all winter. We were birding the day and a half. So we got back at my house at 12:30 the Friday morning, 12:30 in the morning. I woke up the next morning and I left at 5:30 in the morning to go down to Meridosha the next morning. So I didn't have much sleep, and I birded the entire day. I didn't get back into my house until like 6 or 6:30. So I was tired, and I had to get back to my house and pack because we flew out to Florida the next morning, Grandma, Tony, and I, at 8 in the morning. So I was pretty sleep deprived there. But anyway, that's how it goes, and it's just more tales and adventures and stories to add up. But anyway, I had a great day of Central Illinois birding. I think I had 92 species for the day. Just kind of turned into a big day because good selection of waterfowl. Saw the whipping crane by McLean, or by Hayworth, south of Bloomington, and short-eared owl, a lot of waterfowl, 4 species of gulls. Got most of the winter passerines like yellow-bellied sapsucker, fox sparrow, yellow-rumped warbler, winter wren, purple finch, that kind of stuff. So it was a good day. Added a bunch. I was leaving Illinois with 113, something like that, 113 or so. And we went to Florida. Within 2 hours we landed. We saw the white-cheeked pintail. Hopefully they'll count that. Start praying. And then we kind of did some birding. We saw a snail kite. We didn't really bird that much because it was eventually rained because there was a cold front going through. But anyway, the next day we woke up. We stayed south of Miami, and we did We did Miami and North Miami. We did, Miami-Dade and Palm Beach counties and stuff. And we started out with white-winged parakeet, and then we birded 2-3 parks on the south side, and saw like red whiskered bulbul and herd spot-breasted oriole and white crowned pigeon and short-tailed hawk and black-throated blue. A nice selection of warblers like Parula and black-throated blue warbler and stuff. So that was cool. And then we went north. We went to this really cool wetland. I can't even say it. It started with a W, long name. Really neat place. I highly suggest it. Obviously, I can't say it though. It's a long, weird word. But purple, gray-headed swamp hen, and purple and common gallinules, and all these waders, and so it was really cool. And then we went towards the rice mill and saw at least 3 shiny cowbirds. And then we went towards the Palm Beach. On the ocean side, Palm Beach County, we saw Nande and Monk parakeets. And then we went to the Heerman's Gull Beach. Beautiful looking chocolate first year Heerman's Gull. That was cool. And a lot of lesser blackback gulls there too. So that was another good day. And then we woke up the next morning. We did Lucy Hammock and Hidden Lake. I think it's Hidden Lakes area. In the east end of Everglades the next morning. We got 4 Myarca species. We ran into actually 2 friends of ours from Southern Illinois that we met in Trinidad. It was really nice to see them. We hadn't seen them since Trinidad the winter before. Enjoyed seeing them. And then, so we got gray crested, ash throated, and brown crested all there. And then we went to the Hidden Lakes for the Las Sagras flycatcher. And we ran into Victor and Ruben Stroll from Tennessee and some others there. Those are doing, Victor, Ruben, and their group are doing a big month. We almost ran into them in Minnesota, but they pointed out the Las Sagras calling. I recorded it. We saw it for a little bit, but I didn't take some pictures because it was kind of flying around. But we also heard another great brown crested flycatcher there, and saw a short-tailed hawk flying over as we drove in. But after that, we headed straight north towards Gainesville, stopped at Sweetwater Wetlands for LeConte sparrow. Actually didn't get that. I got that back in Illinois, but we missed out on that because it was late afternoon. But a lot of birds there, a lot of snail kites. It was really neat to see. We only had one before. We saw one the day before, or 2 days before, and a lot of birds there. Like I even added stuff like Carolina chickadee, some forest birds there, like northern water thrush. But so that was a really cool spot. We stopped at Florida, University of Florida, got the Swift. And we stayed about an hour and a half from there. And we did St. Mark's the next morning, and we pulled in there. We got super lucky. We pulled in there. We stopped at the East River Pool where the flamingo had been seen. And sure enough, I put the window scope on, and it's there. It hadn't been seen for 2 days, or at least reported anyway. So I was like, holy crap. So I took some digiscope pictures, and I heard a clapper rail, and I was like, okay, there's a new year bird. I was going to go see where that was. Sure enough, I look back, flamingo's gone. Well, where did it go? There's 3 birds behind us from Daytona Beach. I just pulled up, I was like, holy crap, hopefully they just didn't miss the bird. And sure enough, flamingo's flying right at me. And the flamingo eventually flies over the car. I point out the flamingo as it's flying east to them, and then us 6 watched it fly out to the east towards the sunrise and disappear. And someone saw it later in the day, a couple pools to the east of their way off the road, but no one else saw it from the road for the day. So if we were there 5 minutes later, we would not have gotten the flamingo, and I might have not got it for the ABA area for the year. So that was cool. And we had a great morning there. We spent 4 or 5 hours there, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5 hours there, and 4 hours. But we had a great morning. I added many new birds. I added a brown-headed nuthatch to my life list. I heard only red cockaded woodpecker. We eventually saw that the next day, so that was cool. But I'll talk about that in a minute. A lot of good birds there. A lot of shorebirds. A lot of loons on the ocean, on the Gulf, and horned grebes. A lot of ducks. A lot of gulls. A lot of terns. A bunch of oyster catchers we saw. We had over 100 species there for the morning, so that was really cool. And then we headed south. I got a notification on Facebook from a birding friend of mine from Minnesota who tagged me in a post about someone refining the rough north of Tampa that hadn't been seen for like a week. Maybe not that long, but close enough. But several days anyway. So of course we had to make a stop there. we walk up to where the birders were at the sewage treatment place. Sure enough, everything had just flown. Something must have went through, but so eventually several minutes later, someone finds it straight into the sunlight, way to the left of us, kind of far, but not too far. But I'll never forget the rough that Adam Self found on our iOS field trip a couple years ago. That was really close. But so this one was actually this one was about the same distance as that one, but since it was bad light, it was kind of tough to see. But it was nice to see how different the shape was compared to the other shorebirds, like the dowitchers and stilt sands and yellowlegs that were there, because it's just how differently shaped the body shape that the ruff is. But anyway, so we left there. We stopped at a smart park on the north side of Tampa Bay. Saw our brown boobies. There's 5 brown boobies on the tower there. We stopped at Fort DeSoto before we left. Before we kept driving south towards Fort Myers, and we saw a lot of shorebirds. We added like skimmers and the plovers and the sandwich tern. We might add a red knot, and we added maybe 10 there for my year list. I don't know. But we kept driving south. We stayed in Cape Coral, and the next morning we got up and Ding Darling and on Sanibel, saw mangrove cuckoo. Thanks to Tom Lally. Thank you for that. And actually, we saw one and heard another at the same spot, so that was cool. And then we stopped at the south end, middle part of Cape Coral, and saw 4 burrowing owls and more mock parakeets. And then we stopped at Festive Park on the north side of Cape Coral for Florida scrub jay. And we pulled up, saw a mockingbird. Grandma pointed out that there was a bird next to the mockingbird. Sure enough, it was a Florida scrub jay. And we just rolled down our windows. The one scrub jay came. There was a pair of them. It came to the mirror. Didn't even do anything. Came right to the mirrors, a lifer for Tony. And then I got some pretty much second, third hand information about Bachman Sparrow. If you're looking for Bachman Sparrow, I would say go there in the summer. A lot easier in the summer. That's how I got my lifer. A lot easier in Florida in the summer, or in the Southeast in general. But so got Bachman Sparrow, got a good look at that. That was another lifer for Tony. And so that was cool. And then we stopped at Babcock, I think it was, a refuge south of Punta Gorda. I saw a pair of red cockaded woodpeckers, so that was nice. It was kind of a trek looking for them, but that was cool to get. So that was a Florida trip, and I was leaving Florida with 239, and had a great trip, didn't really miss anything, so that was good. Got back to Illinois, had a couple days to get my stuff together. I was like, where am I going to go next? I had a plan. That Thursday, I booked stuff, and so I birded a little bit. I watched my sister play a couple basketball games, and I went to Arizona. But before then, I birded my long-eared owl property, because the one I had before had left. But didn't have any long-eared owls. But actually, had my third only time I've seen LeConte sparrow there. I flushed it several times. I'll probably go back there this or next month, see if I can get a picture of it. It'll probably winter, so I'm not worried about it. I also added Sharp-Shinned Hawk to my ABA year list, and I added Sharp-Shinned Hawk and Savannah Sparrow to my Illinois year list. That's that. Well, after yesterday, it's different, but then I was at 95. But anyway, so I was leaving Illinois, going to Arizona with 241, and I flew out on the Monday morning, and I got to the airport, and my original plan was to fly out at STL and go to Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. I flew out a different airport. I actually ended up flying out at a different airport, and I'd scheduled me to pick up the car there at Sky Harbor, and I looked at my phone, and I was like, I'm not flying to Sky Harbor. What am I going to do? So I eventually took a lift to where the car was, got everything figured out. When I got there, traffic was bad. I was wanting to do the Ruddy Ground Dove spot and the LeConte Thrasher spot by Buckeye, west of Phoenix, before I head towards Blythe. And I had time to do the dove. I added several birds there, like great-tailed grackle, yellow-headed blackbird, Say's phoebe, Inca dove and stuff. But the ruddy ground dove, I saw at least 3 of them. That was a new, well, obviously it was a new bird for me, but that was my 250th bird of the year. So that was a cool 250. And I went to the LeConte Thrasher spot. It was a little late. I added sagebrush. It was actually a live bird for me. I saw Bend-Eyer Thrasher and black-tailed gnatcatcher. So I added several birds. I think I was leaving that area with 254 for the year. So I stayed in Blythe, California. Hit a really good barbecue spot nearby. And then I guess maybe because I was used to Central Time, that was Pacific Time, without alarm. I didn't set an alarm, so I'm glad I woke up early that next morning. But I woke up at 4 in the morning. I was like, I mean, it's an hour and a half from here, but I'm not trying to leave now. So I eventually left at 4:45 from the hotel, and I got to the Salton Sea. I stopped at one spot on the north end before I got to the main spot where the Gargany had been, at the headquarters, I guess it's called. It's probably, I think it's the headquarters. But anyway, and I saw tens of thousands of ducks on the north side, so it was really cool. And I added several birds just at that first spot, like California gold and stuff. But so I went more south, and I pulled up, and there was these two birders there, already there, and they had just got the Gargany on the sea itself, not in the cove, but on the sea itself. But of course it was gone whenever I pulled up. But anyway, I added several birds there, like the surf scoters. Later I found black scoter and western gull there. But eventually I was on the northwest part of the parking lot, and thousands of Bonapartes were on the sea, but hundreds kept on coming into the cove and then flying in and out. But eventually I see this large, whenever one big flock of Bonapartes left the cove, I saw this slightly larger gull with the flock, and I put my binoculars up to it, had orange bill. I was like, holy crap, that's the black-headed gull. It hadn't been seen for like a week, and only 3 other people reported on eBird for the winter. So I was like, okay. So I watched it and it disappeared. I called them over, and of course it's gone by the time I get them over, and I can't find it. So I was like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have a picture. They hadn't seen it yet. I can't find it again. So I eventually just kept driving around. I saw cactus, ran into phainopepla and stuff like that. No Gargany there's still no Gargany in the cove. But eventually I was looking through the thousands of Bonaparte's gulls, and eventually I'm like, what is this larger gull sitting with him? And I saw the orange bell. I was like, I got the black-headed gull. So I'm sorry about that. My phone died, so I obviously have to start back where I'm coming from. But anyway, so I was talking about the black-headed gull, and I got some Digiscope pictures of it, and I was like, well, I probably should go tell them they're on the other side of the parking lot. So right before I do that, I look, and the gull was getting up. I was like, oh no, hopefully it's not gone. So actually the gull was flying right at me, and the first time when I saw the gull fly by, my camera was not even close to me, so I didn't even have time to get my camera out the first time. And at least this time my camera's in the passenger seat, but I haven't even turned it on yet to that day. I don't think I had. So I wasn't even ready to take any pictures yet. I didn't even look to see what setting was on or anything. So luckily I took a couple pictures that turned out okay, and as soon as it flew right at me, and it flew right over the car, and as soon as that happened, I jumped out and I screamed at them, the black-headed gull is flying right at you. So eventually they got on. I ran over there. It maybe landed for a couple seconds. I don't even know if it landed. Got pretty close to doing so anyway. And then it got up, it flew right over us, and then it left. We didn't see it for the rest of the time there. I don't think anyone else saw it for the rest of the day. So another lucky time this year. But eventually they refound the Gargany. After 20, 30 minutes later, they refound the Gargany for me. So I got quick looks at that, and then I was out of there. I had a lot of things to do that day. And then, so I stopped near, I think it's Barango Springs, maybe it's 45 minutes west of the sea, and I saw 4 long-eared owls roosting together, so that was cool. And I wasn't that far to some California birds. I was like, why not just go ahead and do it? So I was on, I think it was Sunrise Highway, maybe? It was in eastern San Diego County. Along the way, I added many birds like California scrub jay, California towhee, Steller's jay, Lester's goldfinch, western bluebird, stuff like that. Actually, I saw a golden eagle fly over right before I got to the area I wanted to bird, so that was cool. I stopped right before an area I was going to bird, and I noticed a big flock of birds, and I quickly saw like mountain chickadee and pygmy nuthatch and acorn woodpecker, and I saw a flock of purple finches, and I quickly got on one. There might have been more. I mean, I only saw 1 or 2. I really wasn't paying attention, but I was like, this is a lot more finely streaked than these purple finches. But I was like, this is probably a Cassin's finch. So I took pictures, and then I posted on Facebook, and then people concurred that it was a Cassin's finch. There might have been more there. I wasn't really paying attention. It was flogged on eBird. That's why I was asking to see if it was. I was like, I think it is, but I wasn't sure. I hadn't seen Cassin's finch many times at all, so that was cool. And I made another stop, and I saw band-tailed pigeon, red crossbill, Nettles woodpecker, some stuff like that. But that was cool. And then I left there. I headed towards the Salton Sea again on I-8. And I made a couple stops on the south end of Salton Sea. I saw hundreds of longbill curlews, roadrunner and louderback woodpecker, and Gambel's quail and white-faced ibis. I added several there on the south end of the Salton Sea. I left there. I stopped at a lake north of Yuma and heard at least, I think I heard two. I can't remember. It's either one or two Ridgway's rails. I think it was two. And then I stopped at an area about an hour east of Yuma and saw at least one, maybe two. I might have saw a second. The Lacan's thrasher at a spot that they had been seen at. So that was cool right before sunset. And I drove towards Green Valley, where I was staying with a good birding friend of mine from Illinois who stays in the winter, Leo Miller. So that we had a really good time. Me, Leo, and Jenny Vogt all had a great time. We birded all southeast Arizona in a day and a half. So that was really cool. We had a great time. We had a lot of fun times on that short little adventure. But so the next morning we woke up. We went for the Rufus-backed robin. It took over an hour before me and another lady saw fly into the pyracantha bush, and eventually came out for us to kind of see it. It was kind of tough to see, but we saw it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then Jenny, Leo, and I left because we had a lot of things to do that day. So we went towards the Madera and Florida Canyons, but we stopped at Canoa Ranch real quick. Saw dozens of brewer sparrows, saw Lincoln's and black-throated sparrow, but Lincoln sparrow was my 300th for the year, so that was really cool. We went towards Florida Canyon, didn't have any luck with the Rufus cap or black cap gnatcatchers, but I did add several more. We were there late morning, so I wasn't really expecting those. Plus, the Rufus cap had been really hard this year so far, so wasn't really expecting much there, but I added 7 there. Great looks at painted red start. It was really quiet, but so Canyon wren and towhee and Pyroloxia, gray and Hammond's flycatcher and Bewick's wren. As we were leaving there, we saw great green-tailed towhee with a nice sparrow flock. And then we missed black-chinned sparrow too, but that's one I can see in the summer. I've had them several states, but actually not many places. But anyway, we went towards Madera Canyon and we stopped at the feeders. Got Riverlize hummingbird, which used to be Magnificent Hummingbird. I actually have a shirt from Ramsey Canyon when I was there a couple years ago. It's a picture of a Magnificent Hummingbird, and it says Magnificent Hummingbird on it. So I still have that before they split them and changed to Riverlize Hummingbird. But so Hepatic Tanager and Mexican Jays, and so I added several there. But I decided to walk down the road a little bit because there had been some other things reported, and I didn't know where. But one of the first birds I saw, I ran into a good flock. I saw a nice female olive warbler. I got really good pictures of it. Actually, I never have had a picture of an olive warbler, so that was cool. Added Arizona woodpecker and another thing I can't come up with right now. But anyway, so that was really cool. So I was leaving there at 3:15. We headed towards Tucson, and yeah, we went to Kennedy Park and Reed Park in Tucson. Immediately when we pulled up to Kennedy Park, I spotted the Williamson sapsucker in the park that overwinters there, and right after that, I spotted the red-naped sapsucker, the just south of the parking lot. We also added vermilion flycatcher there, and another one I can't come up with at the moment. But anyway, it was a good, quick little stop. Then we went to Reed Park for the greater peewee, and it was kind of funny because we were looking at the tree where the greater peewee was supposed to be, and we looked back. We looked there, and it wasn't there, and it was like, well, where's it at? So we all turned around looking around, and then I turned back, not even that, maybe 5 or 10 seconds later. Sure enough, the greater peewee was there. So that was cool to get off because they're rare in the winter. They're common more southeast of there in the summer, but that was cool to get. And then I also added Neotropic cormorant, but it was really cool because usually you don't get wintering ducks to come in Illinois like you do there. Because we were at the pond, Leo and I acted like we were throwing corn into the water. And not just the domestic ducks and the domestic mallards were coming in. The hundreds of widgeon that were there, even the redhead and canvasbacks that were there were coming in to us acting like we were throwing corn in the water. So usually in Illinois we don't get ducks coming in like that to people in the winter. So I got really good pictures of all those. So that was cool. So and then we took Jenny. We got back to Green Valley, dropped off Jenny. We went to one of Leo's friend's house and saw Costa's hummingbird right before it got dark. Went back to Leo's house, and as soon as we got back to his house, the same friend called saying that they were hearing a western screech out their house. So obviously we had to turn back around. We went back to the house and heard western screech out. So after that, I was at like 322 or 323, somewhere in there. I think it's 322. But so the next morning we woke up early. We picked up Jenny at 6. We went towards San Rafael grasslands, just 20 minutes southeast of Patagonia. So we had about an hour and a half drive there, and we got there. I spotted a white-tailed kite, and then we drove down a little bit. I heard chestnut-colored longspur at the corral, and then they're at the cow pasture corral. And then we started driving out west, and we ran into a big savanna sparrow flock, and right before that we had Chihuahuan raven. But so I quickly spotted a Bayard sparrow on the ground, and it eventually flew off before we can all see it. And then me and Jenny saw a Bayard sparrow on the fence line way ahead of us, so we pulled up. Sure enough, it flies. We weren't really seeing much for maybe about a minute or two, and then both Jenny and I looked back at the fence, just about 45 degrees the other direction. Sure enough, way close was a Bayard sparrow sitting on the fence. So we quickly took a couple pictures before it flew off, and then we drove on. We stopped at another place in San Rafael to see if we can actually see chestnut collar longspur. We didn't, but actually I flushed up another Bayard sparrow. And then we head towards Patagonia. We made one stop and saw rufous crowned sparrow and rock wren and a big flock of chipping sparrows and pine siskins and joncos and stuff. But then we stopped at a quick place to grab something to eat in Patagonia. We went to Patton's. We went in Patton's yard in Patagonia, and we had a great time there. Only spent 20 minutes there and saw all 5 of our targets there. Jenny and I quickly saw violet crown and broadbill hummingbird and Cassin's kingbird, and the guides there at Patton's told us which feeders the lazuli bunting and the blue grosbeak were coming to, but we weren't having any luck for a couple of minutes. I was like, why don't I just go walk along the creek directly across from where the feeders were? And sure enough, I found 3 lazuli buntings, all males, and one blue grosbeak. So of course I yell at Jenny and Leo to come over there, and we all got great looks at those. So we were in and out there in 20 minutes and had all 5 of our targets. So that was a bonus. And then we went to Patagonia Lake and walked the trail. We spent probably 2 hours there. We got most of our targets. I heard black gnatcatcher several times. We actually had another gnatcatcher later on that I thought I heard blue-gray, but I have pictures of that. I'll probably post them later at some point. Anyway, it was pretty dead for the most part. We eventually ran into a nice flock, and Jenny found Plumbeus and Cassin's vireo. It was a nice comparison because we had them within a minute of each other, so that was cool to see the differences of those two. I also saw Hutton's vireo, and Leo picked out gray flycatcher. We ended up seeing 2 gray flycatchers. As we're leaving, we had we also had black-throated gray warbler, 2 of them, and so we had a nice big flock there. And I picked out a rufous winged sparrow right before we left, and we picked up the greater scaup on the lake. I had a couple in Central Illinois, but it's just nice to see a greater scaup while I was in Arizona. But so then we left. We stopped at the Picard spot, but we didn't have any luck on that. But it was drizzly, it was cloudy, and it was early afternoon, so I wasn't really expecting that. But then we dropped Jenny off, and then Leo dropped me off, and I was on my way to Phoenix because I flew out the next morning at 7 in the morning. So I stopped at a park on the north side of Tucson and saw gilded flicker, 2 Harris's hawks, and 2 bronze cowbirds. And then I did the Red Rock area and the Santa Cruz Flats area, and I added many birds pretty quickly. Just driving around, I saw lark bunting, lark sparrow, and vesper sparrow all in the same bush. And then I saw 3 caracaras flying around, and then I saw a prairie falcon right before I got to the Lewis's woodpecker yard. And then I pulled up to the Lewis's woodpecker yard. I didn't really know where to look, so I called Leo. I was like, well, I don't see it yet. Where to look? Where do I look? And sure enough, he told me where to look. And sure enough, when I pulled up to the 2 sycamore trees, the Lewis's woodpecker was there with the louderback woodpecker. So after that, I saw a ferruginous hawk flying around. Looked for mountain plover, but didn't have any luck. I kind of scanned really fast. I didn't really have much time on my hands. So I was leaving there with 348, and I drove towards Phoenix, quickly got the Lovebird before sunset, had my In-N-Out burger. I always want to have In-N-Out if there's an In-N-Out around. And then I returned the car, and then I went and stayed at my grandma's Vicky's with my grandma's friend Vicky and Peg, and so I'm very thankful for that because I was looking to stay at a somewhat pricey because the hotels around my smaller airport I was flying out of were pretty expensive. And I got a text from Grandma saying that her friends Vicky and Peg have a place down there by the airport, so I was really thankful for that. So thank you, Vicky, if you see this. And so there's that. So that was my trip to Arizona. So I was leaving Arizona with 349 species. So I had a great time. I had 195 for the trip, I think. So 195 species in about 3.5 days of birding. So that was pretty cool. So I got back in Illinois. Of course, being the weather person I am, I was keen on the new weather system that was going through. We were getting snow and ice later that night. There's some freezing drizzle as I drove home, but it wasn't bad yet. So I landed, I had lunch, and I drove the 2 hours home. Got home, and I stayed in the house for the rest of the night because it was the ice storm. But then the next morning, I didn't really do anything on Saturday, and then I came back to campus here because I start school tomorrow. Today's Monday. I start school back on the 21st, the Tuesday. So I drove back here yesterday. The rest of yesterday's adventures will be after I'm done talking. I'll show what I did yesterday. So it was a great fall break. Winter break. I'm losing it, as you can tell. I'm losing it. But anyway, I had a great winter break. I had 350 species in the last 3 weeks. I don't think I can ask for anything better. I'm very thankful for anyone who has helped me along. Just Grandma, Tony, Leo, Jenny, Vicky, anyone who I ran into, or any new people I became friends with, or anyone who helped me see birds the last 3 weeks. I'm very thankful for that, and who knows where this will go, but like I won't be really adding anything probably the next 2 months, because I can't go anywhere because I'm in school, so we'll see where this goes. Eventually I'm going to start probably making some small field trips or out-of-the-state trips for very inexpensive trips to kind of help me for my year, and also help others see specialty birds and become involved with my big year. But so I'll probably be planning those out in the next coming weeks. But anyway, there's that. So stay tuned, like and subscribe for more videos. Like I said, I'll be making dozens of videos throughout the year, and hopefully this will become fun. This obviously it is fun, but you can see how my year is going, and who knows when I'm going to post my next video. Probably whenever I go birding next. We'll see. Actually, I have my window scope with me, but I left my actual scope at home. So, but that's okay. But we'll see where this goes. I'm having a blast already. I couldn't be thankful any more I am. So, anyway, so here's my adventures from yesterday, birding the Springfield area, on my way back to Champaign, and stay tuned. And hopefully, I'll get 700 this year. So anyway, thanks for viewing this and watching me talk for the last 30 minutes. But anyway, so that's how this year's been so far, and thanks for watching. So I'm here at Nipper Sanctuary in Sangamon County near Springfield, looking for a barn owl. There was one last year here roosting. It is currently 12 degrees with a -5 wind chill, and it is pretty cold. So I'm thinking maybe this cold has pushed the barn owl to roost in the barn owl box here. Lovely if I can see one today. It's just got this shed here. So hopefully it will be there. So stay tuned and we'll see if we can find at least a good amount of time last year. Because I found all this owl poop, and I found some pellets last year. I think they're gone now, but there's some pellets here last year. But as you can tell, this is what you're looking for. A lot of owl poop, a lot of whitewash. So that's how one finds one, and usually there's some pellets. So no luck there with the barn owl. It's not there. Who knows where it is? The barn owl box is here. But way too cold to check for them today because it's freezing. Like I said, it's -5 below 0 wind chill right now, so it's pretty cold. But anyway, so we're gonna go to Lake Springfield and see what's there. I just got my 350th bird of the year in the U.S. this year. I'm currently at Lake Springfield at Lincoln Greens golf course. There's, I don't know, maybe 1,000 diving ducks here and thousands of gulls. There's a large blackback gull, which isn't new, but is a nice adult. But the main thing is I found a long-tailed duck. Oh, there it is right there. Bad heat waves today, but it's right there. You can see it. It's a bad view, but good bird. It has been it's been around for, I don't know, I think at least more than a week, but I haven't seen any reports for several days, 4 or 5 days, so I'm glad I refound it. But this is what it looks like here. There's, I don't know, several hundred goldeneye and mergansers and some scaup and ruddy ducks and a lot of gulls and stuff, and some pelicans way over there. You see some white. You can see all the gulls flying around. But anyway, neat spot. I've always loved this spot. We've seen a lot of good birds from here. All 3 scoters, all the winter gulls. Black-headed gull actually was here 1 year. Little gull was here 1 year. So it's a neat spot. I always love stopping here. But yeah, long-tailed duck, 350th bird of the year. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe for more. Like I said, a lot more videos will be coming out. Not many in the next couple weeks or month or two, but definitely in the spring and summer I'll have a lot of videos coming out about my adventures throughout the year. So definitely stay tuned, and I'll keep you all updated. Thank you.